State Senator Roger Victory, Republican from Hudsonville, owns Victory Farms. Good enough to join us. How you doing this morning, Senator?
Doing well. It feels a little better out there than it did yesterday morning. I am in Lansing, and we avoided some of the intense storms here, but back in Ottawa County, a lot of damage, tree damage and power outages, and hopefully consumers' power is getting some of that power restored. But, yeah, we saw some of the high winds yesterday and how that can cause some devastation among the trees and power and those type things. So, yeah, but enjoy the better weather today.
Can you talk about when you represent our area in Ottawa County, what is your role when there is damage of this nature, and what do you guys do in Lansing? Because it's statewide, but you're representing Ottawa County. Can you talk about your role in all this?
Yeah, so obviously the power system in Ottawa County is primary. We have some of our municipalities, but outside municipalities, Consumers Energy, and that being regulated there too, so they hold accountability to these utilities, making sure that lessons learned in the past when we don't keep up with the proper infrastructure and proper infrastructure investment, and when a storm hits, that can be devastating. So such things as tree maintenance and those type of things are very critical. And then just making sure that also communications of when we do have power outages, stay away from down lines and those type of things, because we don't want loss of life. There's times that the power outages is bad, but any loss of life because in contact with down power lines is not a good thing.
Roger Victory joining us, State Senator from Hudsonville, and represents Ottawa County. What's the big issue right now with the legislature? What are you guys working on right now in Lansing? What's the top thing right now?
Well, thanks for bringing that up. One issue is if you're being affected by it, it is a huge issue. And basically, it's the unemployment system. With COVID-19, many of our businesses had to shut down temporarily, and so the system has been overwhelmed. And then even though it's been overwhelmed, other areas have been able to move forward. But just recently, 340,000 people have been locked out of the system. So let's put that in perspective. That's more than the population of Ottawa County, and let's put the whole city of Muskegon into that. So statewide, the equivalent of the entire population of Ottawa County and the city of Muskegon have been locked out of the system. That means for the single mother that's trying to put food on the table, pay the rent, that has been laid off, probably might have been working at one of the local restaurants, they are not receiving their payment. And with that, there's been minimal communication. This has not been satisfactory. Our office alone have handled pushing up to 700 cases. I know the state representative offices, unfortunately, are handling the same amount of cases. So this has been, I believe this is on the hands of the governor's office. This is even Quicken Loans have volunteered to reach out to the unemployment agency with some of their software issues to see once we can streamline it. They're very proficient with their systems, and yet crickets are chirping. Well, that's not a acceptable situation when we have 340,000 people have just been locked out because of some fraud component or something been triggered. That's not including those who haven't been able to get processed from other means. So, this is a big issue. We'll continue to talk about it, and for any of those listeners out there that are being affected by it, we're dealing with them one at a time, but even when we get notification of it, it's still about 2 weeks out before we can even get some results on it. And typically, in the past, it could be a 2-day turnaround. So, very big issue.
I was just reading the other day where State Representative Tommy Brand, who owns Brand's Restaurants, himself a small business owner, wants to provide grants of up to $10,000 to eligible small businesses affected by COVID-19, and he's got a bill in the House. What do you know about that?
Yeah, I would like to look at that. I appreciate Tommy Brand, small business owner. In fact, Sunday morning after the riots in Grand Rapids, and I will call them riots, there was a protest out there or a gathering of freedom of speech, etc. And appreciate the folks that do gather and exercise the First Amendment. But later on at night, you can see the more of the worst of humanity took place. And then within 4 hours, a turnaround, you saw some of the best of humanity. And Tommy, I met up with Tommy downtown Grand Rapids as we were cleaning up some of the streets. Tommy had his broom and dustpan and pail picking up glass. I had the same, and we kind of coalesced in one area, and then we continued to work together. And I was pleased to have some of my staff that worked for me in Lansing. They came out, and actually I called for some more cleaning supplies for some of the paint removal, and I didn't realize it, but Tommy even has an office downtown Grand Rapids. So after we were cleaning up around 11:30 by in the morning, most of the good part of the community was getting the initial damage was picked up from the glass and some of the graffiti. We went to his building and started cleaning up there. And it's just such a, he was more concerned about the other office structures and businesses, and then his own came second, and we were able to help even out his office there in downtown Grand Rapids. So, yeah, Tommy Brand, the real deal. It was a pleasure being to work with him in the community, and it was not just us, but thousands and thousands of others on all ends of the spectrum where they're working together, cleaning up the community, and within hours, what a difference it made.
State Senator Roger Victory joining us, Republican from Hudsonville. I know you're on farm committees, agriculture. What can you tell us about all of our farmers here in Ottawa County and what's going on?
Well, right now, hopefully we dodged some of the worst. I just remember we were on the air not that long ago talking about some record cold temperatures. We've had a little bit of surplus of moisture, but if we can get a good growing season, looking for, Ottawa County is one of the top counties in the state and is the second most diverse production county, not just in the state of Michigan, but in the United States. So we're hoping to see good weather like this to come forward and create a good crop, and kind of hoping, too, that as we get this economy open up, that the restaurants and those outlets that will use and consume this food that we produce here in Ottawa County, there's a market for it, too. So that's something that we're continuing working at, to making sure there's a healthy and safe opportunity to utilize this production we do in Ottawa County to meet the needs of not just Michigan, but throughout the nation and even throughout the world.
There was a report out the other day about dam structures in the state of Michigan. Of course, you had the two collapsed in Midland area, and there's another one upstream from that's in pretty bad shape as well. But there's one in Ottawa County that's got spillway issues. What do you know about that one? I think it's Butternut Creek or something like that.
In fact, I would like to dig a little more information into it, because, that's right. I'm kind of familiar with that structure, because if that's on some of our areas there too. So that's where we got to keep that. That's kind of a storm retention pond dam structure. So as things go forward, looking at these things, we got to keep an eye on it here too. So we'll. In fact, I'd like to see once we get a little follow up and some more information on that there. But I'm familiar with that structure, and that's why I think I'll just put a positive slice to it. I really do appreciate the work of our water resource manager that we have in Ottawa County. And Joe Bush is his name, and I work closely with him. And he is be ahead of the problem and not be reacting to the problem. Yeah, and that's something there. We can see we get some more details on it and make sure that there's get that thing resolved if something needs to be resolved on.
Hey, Roger, final thing before we let you go, but Governor Whitmer was testifying for a sub-House committee last week on basically really asking that the feds come through with some money for not only Michigan, but all states out there. And we were talking to Andy Engel, who handles a very large school district here in Ottawa County with Grand Haven Area Public Schools, got 100 square miles they deal with. They have their fiscal budget coming up July 1st. They don't know which way they're going here. It could be massive cuts for all school districts. And have you heard anything about what the U.S. Congress is doing to help states out?
Yeah, we're going to be having a dialogue on this here, because as our schools are looking for some certainty, and as we've been working on this budget process, currently there's, I call it 3 billion balls we're trying to juggle in the air, and that's the 3 billion deficit of our current budget. And then add on top of it, there's another 3 billion in the next budget that we're trying to craft at this point in time. So, and no human can juggle that many balls at one time and direction. So, with that, as we're trying to get some more economic data, what what help do we have from on the feds. But there's one concern is we still have on the balance sheet well over $3 billion of CARES Act money. So, and of those dollars, less than 6% have been spent. So that's kind of shocking to me at this point in time. I expressed my concerns in committee that how do we ask for more money from the feds when they're still we only utilize 6% what's currently there, and do we get some modifications from the feds of the current appropriations, and as we go forward. So that's what we're working on because the optics of that are not good to be asking our federal colleagues at the NDC for more money, and when we have not utilized what they already appropriate to us.
Well, Roger, thank you for all of the insight. As always, we always appreciate it. You taking time out to come with us here in Grand Haven, Tri-Cities here, and give us an update on Ottawa County and the state, okay?
Enjoy the weather, stay healthy, and as we have been learning, it's better to be outside than inside. So be outside and enjoy it, but also use common sense. And again, I stress, stay healthy and be safe.
Thank you very much, Roger.